Research in itself is very uncertain.
Right.
So it's very different from studying. Studying,
yes.
you have a set of things that you need to know and then you can do them for the exam.
Yes.
But in research, it's not really clear whether you'll get the research outcome that you would like
That is
eventually.
true. Okay, so going back to how you're always curious in science, I think that might have led to how you are now an interdisciplinary scientist, right? And I know that we know that a lot of students out there, they might be interested to do research, but they are intimidated about starting a research project because for some of them, they might not have the opportunities like you did about delving into research projects in JC or going to science centers. So what is your advice to a student who is interested in doing research but has no prior research experience?
Everyone starts somewhere.
Yes.
So I think it's good to start when you have the opportunity to do so. Just email a professor, go talk to the professor about the research they're interested in,
Right.
and figure out whether there are projects that are suitable. I mean, the thing is, of course, don't feel that you don't know anything. Actually, the more you know, the more you don't know.
Right, that's
so
true.
It's good to start from scratch and then just have a earnest mind to learn.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's the most important.
Right. Were there any problems or difficulties that you encountered at any point of time during your research career?
Research in itself is very uncertain.
Right.
So it's very different from studying. Studying,
yes.
you have a set of things that you need to know and then you can do them for the exam.
Yes.
But in research, it's not really clear whether you'll get the research outcome that you would like
That is
eventually.
true. That is
So I think there's a lot of dealing with this uncertainty, and that's actually very useful for life in general.
Right.
So being a researcher, you learn to deal with all of these different things that you're not too sure about, and then hopefully that will allow you to learn something about the real world. Yeah.
Right. So another question that a lot of other undergrads ask is, if I were to do research during my undergrad, or if I were to do a PhD after that, do I necessarily have to become a professor? Like, do I necessarily have to set up my research lab? Like, is there an opportunity for me to transfer my research skills anywhere besides the academia?
Absolutely. So
Okay.
Doing research and doing a PhD doesn't mean that you must become a professor or an academic. Partly, there are not a lot of such positions anyways in the whole world. But really, you also should think about research positions in the industry. There are a lot of companies that do research and R&D. So they require a lot of highly trained scientists. And then there are also other things like science communication.
Yes.
In fact, you are a PhD yourself and
Yes.
you're doing science communication. So
Yeah.
that is in itself a very important area as well. Yeah.
Right. So another question that I would like to ask, like, how important do you think is it to communicate your research findings to someone who is not familiar with science, for example, not just chemistry or biology?
In the current world, I think it's very, very important. As you can see from COVID, the pandemic, the scientists really need to come out to explain what different types of experiments and results really mean, and to fight the falsehoods that are being spread around the world in the internet and stuff like that. So it's very important for us to share our findings, but in ways that are easily understood by the layman.
Right.
Yeah, so that's quite important. Except we need more time to do that.
Okay, yeah, that's true. Okay, so going back to Europe, so the Undergraduate Research Opportunities Program, you've been around in US for a long time to know that different faculties offer Europe's project. And now that we are going to have the new enhancement option for Europe's, we really encourage students to enhance the Europe's project because it not only it's not just an opportunity for them to do their research project, but an opportunity for them to learn how to do research. So do you have any advice for students who are unsure, first of all, who are unsure to take up a Europe's project, or if they're currently doing a Europe's project, whether or not they should enhance their Europe's project with Rex?
Oh yeah, I personally think the enhancement module itself will be very interesting for students, because typically when you embark on a Euros project, a lot of your training depends on the lab or the research group that you join. And so if the research group focuses on a lot of the training you how to think about problems as a scientist or do experiments, then you're good, right? Yeah. But some groups might not have that kind of capability to give you additional training. So having this REX enhancement actually is quite useful,
Right.
so that you can really be properly trained how to think about research questions, how to write, I believe, right, and also how to present your science.
So, Professor, thank you so much for taking some time off from your busy schedule.
My pleasure.
Do you have any final words that you would like to share with the undergraduates?
I encourage everyone to take the first step. Go talk to
Correct.
a professor or friends, right, or your academic mentors, and figure out just try out something. You have to give yourself a chance, give research a chance to think about whether you like it or not. So
Alright.
spend some time in the research group and really put your heart into it. And if you don't like it, that's fine, right? But if you do like it, then you can have a good experience and continue on doing more science.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much for taking some time
You're
from
welcome.
your busy schedule to be with us today. To all our viewers, thank you so much for tuning in the third episode of our Undergraduate Research Diaries. To get more updates, don't forget to check out our social media handles. Just know that with Europe, you get to own your opportunities. Thank you.